I've been to Grand Teton National Park 3 times. The first 2 times was just a way to get to Yellowstone. Yeah, I saw the sights along US 89, but it was just another gorgeous landscape. In 2006, we spent 3 days and 3 nights in the park, so most of the video is from that trip. In 1998, we started the day in Pocatello, Idaho. The previous day I was at Golden Spike National Historic Site, then picked up Joe at the Salt Lake City Airport. I had a Hi8 camcorder with me. Video was analog and I had no way of editing it other than playing it on one machine and recording the video on another. So I didn't take a lot of video, it was more of a novelty than a real way to document a road trip. We ended the day in Gardner, Montana, just outside of the north entrance to Yellowstone. We roughed it because, well, someone had to. My second time there was on September 11th, 2001. Our last stop was Craters of the Moon National Monument, so we were following US 20, then picked up US 26 and followed the same route as 1998. We stopped in Jackson, and the visitor center was closed. We found an open restaurant, and instead of canned music, they had a boombox on top of a cabinet tuned to a news station. There weren't any real crowds, and no planes flew over us in the valley. I saw my first moose the same day the Park Service in Yellowstone took down every license plate that left the park. No, it didn't make any sense, but not a whole lot made sense that day. We ended the day in West Yellowstone.
Was the largest criminal investigation FBI field operation in history, and with absolutely no disrespect to what happened in that tragedy in 1995, this tragedy today really dwarfs, obviously, in size.
And we'll see leaves changing this time.
Oh, that would be
a little
cool.
bit more normal with some signs of traffic.
Because remember,
Further
it froze up here
south,
once.
There's no private cars being allowed on the roads at all, even late this afternoon.
It's 3:30 p.m. Mountain Time. We are 255 miles into Tuesday, September 11th. We're going northbound on US 89 into Jackson, Wyoming.
Ignore the bugs on the
Ignore the
windshield.
bugs on the windshield. As soon as we hit Jackson, we'll see the Tetons and then head north up through Yellowstone to the hotel.
At least we're going to have a sunshiny day, right?
Unlike last time we were here.
Like,
This time, maybe we'll even see the Tetons. The last time we only saw the Tetons. In 2006, we did something completely different. Like in 2001, we were coming from Craters of the Moon National Monument, but this time we took Wyoming 22 over Teton Pass to get to Jackson. This is the same road that collapsed in 2024 if you followed that event. We ended the day at Jackson Lake Lodge in Grand Teton National Park.
1149, 87-284 on the Odo, 4490.2 on the trip. We are going eastbound on Idaho 33 toward Jackson Hole.
We approached the Teton Range from the backside, and it was pretty obvious where Grand Teton and the other tall peaks were.
It's another drive-in theater, isn't it?
The other thing to know is this is potato country.
And that's a big potato on the back of that truck. It's the Spud Drive-In Theater. It's the Spud Drive-In Theater.
We're still in Idaho, remember?
They had hoped to fill a need. And the Rocky Balboa statue cannot find a home in Philly. Sylvester Stallone donated it years ago after Rocky III came out, but its latest possible resting site has been rejected. Ever since he handed it over years ago, the city's been trying to figure out what to do with it.
Anyway, it's 12:07 p.m. Mountain Time, 87-297 on the Odo, 4504.0 on the trip. We are still heading eastbound on Idaho 33, heading toward Teton Pass in Wyoming. As a matter of fact, we could be in Wyoming.
That's what I'm looking for, a sign.
Targhee National Forest.
But it's all defaced.
Well, they were a pretty good shot with the shotgun, though. Huh? Escort probably can't go any faster than this, and he's pedaling as fast as he can, but still.
Get out the vote effort?
the runaway truck ramp is on the left side. Wouldn't that sort of disappoint the oncoming traffic? Yeah, I suppose a runaway truck ramp on the right would be kind of difficult.
This one's not covered in lights.
It's 206, 87,324 on the Odo 45309 on the trip, going northbound on US 89 toward Grand Teton National Park. Just got out of Jackson. It is insane, Wyoming. That's the National Elk Refuge. 504 mountain time, 294 miles in 2 days.
We can see the Teton.
We stopped at the park entrance turnout in 1998 and saw the Tons and never saw the Teats. And yes, that's what the mountains are named after. So we stopped in 2001 and got some real pictures.
Realize what the full impact of what had happened. This is shut down basically New York and Washington. It shut down all the airplanes in the United States. All air traffic is grounded.
We would stop at a turnout further up the road in 2006 and get a proper panoramic of the Teton Range.
Okay, let's see, it's 238, 87,345 on the Odo, 4551.8 on the trip. We are going northbound on US 89. We are in Teton National Park, heading for Jackson Lake Lodge.
It was already afternoon, so we headed up to Jackson Lake Lodge and checked in.
Wonder why he's all by himself.
If you plan a trip to a national park and it has lodging, it might be the best place to stay.
What's it going to look like later on? Can you judge by the clouds? What do you think it's going to be?
I've given up. It can be cloudy, it can get sunny, and then it can get cloudy, then it can rain.
Hey, it was 2006. You still had to go to the main building to get Wi-Fi. If a lodge has a normal room and a scenic room, and you can fit into your budget, get the scenic room. This is a normal room. There's nothing wrong with these except the view out your window is automobile parking and other cabins across the street. This was my view from a scenic view room.
I wonder if that's what those are.
And here are some clips from around the resort.
Big boy? I don't have anything, sorry.
What, is the stuff on the bottom better?
I don't know. I've never seen that before. See that? They all have muzzles.
Oh, the horse wants to go follow.
And then King's gonna sit on his back. Does that feel good? Oh, now I gotta get up. Yeah, that felt good. There you go. No.
They even set up like prairie dogs.
Do they? You can enhance that. Huh? My bud. You need the
Now, why is it crooked?
try to be as happy as you can because the fence is crooked, the legs are probably crooked. Wow, so we see a moose right out here instead.
The next morning, we woke to an amazing sunrise, even though we were facing west. We may never have seen it if it wasn't for that scenic view room. Today we were doing something sort of different. We'd be taking a float trip down the Snake River. After a few entertaining and successful water tours in the past, like a swamp boat tour in New Orleans, an airport tour in the Everglades, and a jet boat tour on the Colorado River, we figured it was going to be another entertaining tour. Well, not so much this time around. The first thing was the absolute lack of wildlife. It was somewhat early on a nice day, but the only wildlife we saw in the park, renowned for its wildlife, were a few bald eagles and a few Canadian geese that wouldn't even qualify as a flock. We did have a consolation prize of a bald eagle, leaving itself before it took flight. Okay, it was different. But still, with no wildlife, the second best thing should have been the views. And the problem with that is for the 20 or so miles the Snake River flows through Grand Teton, US 89 parallels all of it. So the views of the Teton Range are really nothing new, they're just from river level instead of from US 89. With all that said, we were on a float trip, not a whitewater trip. And we were there for the wildlife and photography, so your mileage may vary. Sorry about the shaking camera. I found it's extremely difficult to stabilize a camera in a bobbing raft.
Meaning that it does break up and come back together, go in and out. If you look at it from the air, it looks like a hair braid. So the reason we call it the Snake River, it's because of all the moccasins that hang off the trees. We go under. So as we go underneath them, there's no. There are hardly any snakes. Hardly any snakes here in Jackson Hole whatsoever. So that's not the reason either. Really, the only snake that we see is the garter snake, and they are totally harmless. There are no poisonous snakes in Jackson Hole. Okay. The reason we call it the snake, it's actually due to a misunderstanding between the Native Americans, the Shoshones or Shoshones, between them and the early explorers or beaver trappers that were out here in the 1800s, early 1800s. So they gave them a wavy hand gesture like this because they were known for their weaving skills, ancestral weaving skills. They wove a lot of baskets and grass huts. But these beaver trappers mistook them for the Snake Indians, and so that is how we get the name.
Interesting.
Okay, you guys look up here. Can you tell there's a couple of people walking around the top of the bank there? We're going to really look at the fall. Yep. There, where I wait. Maybe see somebody else. Short people. There's an overlook. It's right off to the left before we started coming downhill. I pointed out to a couple of people the radar spinning. Did anybody else see that?
Oh, I saw it.
Radar spinning. It was for Cheney. Because Dick Cheney is in town right now.
Oh, he is?
He is, yeah. But anyways, right across from where that radar was spinning, if you did see it, is that overlook called the Snake River Overlook. And I like to point it out because it's the site of a pretty famous photograph. Anybody know who Ansel Adams is?
Oh, yeah.
Yes. For anybody who doesn't, he's a photographer, you know. A lot of famous black and white photographs of our national parks. And he took a real famous one of our park, Grand Teton National Park. The Tetons in the background and the Snake River in the foreground. He took that one right up there. So as we come right here, we go right through that picture. We call this Ansel Adams Bend. Get our first good view of the mountains. Anybody else want one?
Jared.
It's going to be his pillow.
Taking a nap? You want a blanket?
Here, the river peaks at 14,000 cubic feet per second. So it was roughly 5 times the flow that we're at right now, which is a very, very high flow. And it was indirectly a result of a very big snowpack that we had. We had about 550 inches of snow fall up there in the Teton Range, whereas we average about 450, so we were sitting 100 inches above average.
Oh, really?
Yep. So lots and lots of snow, and it created lots of snow melt. And indirectly a result, the peak this year was very high because indirectly a result of the high snowpack. What happened is there is a reservoir up on Jackson Lake. Okay, now it was a natural lake prior to about 1906. That's when they started naming it. Okay, the top 50 feet of the lake are the reservoir part. That's the natural part. And for the first time in about 7 years, because of that big snowpack that we had, they filled the lake up. So it had been a long time, and if you guys were here a couple years ago, you would have seen it was very, very low. 2 summers ago, the lowest it had been in about 30 or 40 years. And but they somehow filled it up this year. And as they filled it up, what they then had to do is open up the floodgates and match the outflow of the lake with the inflow. And because of that, we got a very, very high peak in the river this year. And because of that, we saw a bit of change out here. When you get the high flows, the river will shift around a lot. So the beavers like to eat the trees. Okay? There's a layer right underneath the bark of the tree. It's what we call the cambium layer of the tree. It's got a lot of food in it for them, lots of nutrients. So this is the layer that provides nutrients up the tree. So that's what the beaver like to eat. So usually they will chew all the way through it and let it fall. Then what they'll do is they'll start to strip the bark off. Looks like they're stripping the bark off. They are, but they're doing is they're eating up that layer right underneath the bark.
Oh! Did anyone get that?
So far.
I got my head in there.
They're simply saying that you can't stop along the banks, walk around, fish, or even slow your boat. They don't want you to do that. You just got to float right through because They don't want the extra stress on the bald eagles, because if they get that, then possibly they might not nest here.
So you just got like one nesting pair in the area?
There are a couple on this stretch, a couple of nests. The second nest, we can't float by it. It's a little ways off the water. But if we come down towards the end of the trip, you can keep your eyes open for more bald eagles. I mean, you can still spot them the whole way down. Generally, they like to hang out around their nest. National Park that has go to the inside. It is the source of lots of confidence. Because of all the shadows that the it's up now. It's like it now. About 700-800 feet. About 30 to 40. Come out of this cloud. It's like a big high lead. Lots of water now. More high water. You notice how they're leaning over, but then they start to grow back.
Oh, they've been there for a while.
They've been like that about 4 or 5 years. So they are very stable. They are going to go someday, though.
And this was cool. A reaction ferry. It carries people and cargo across a reasonably rapid river, using the current to propel the vehicle. It's very cool how they work.
Surface area with it. You can see it's at the ferry angle there. And once you get off the raft, you take off your life jackets. I'm just going to collect the life jackets and toss them back into the boat.
Do you have a case for that?
You're sitting right next to the boat.
No, you're not in the way.
Toss them back in.
And this is where I'm going to end part 1 of Grand Teton National Park. Like, share, and subscribe.